Thank you, Lenore. And I just want to thank Lenore for her remarkable stewardship of this organization, her faith and devotion and love of all of you and for our communities throughout the state of California. She is the personification of leadership, someone who steps up, steps in, takes responsibility. And Lenore, like so many folks that are here today, you understand the future's not just out there as an abstract. It's inside of you. You've got to manifest it. And so I want to thank you, Lenore, for all your extraordinary leadership and all your courage for stepping up and stepping in and leading this organization. Thank you. About 10 years after my birth, I know exactly who I'm standing in between. So I know John's about to come out. So I know all of you, you're being nice by putting the cell phone on just to make sure you got the focus right. I get it. And then I'm going to see everything pop up. So no long-winded speeches, but I want to just say a couple things. When I was 10 years old, 1977, there were 20,000 people in the California state prison system. 30 years later, in 2007, we peaked out at 173,000 people. Think about that, 20,000 folks in 1977. In 2007, 173,000 people were incarcerated in this state alone. It doesn't surprise any of you. You know these facts. It doesn't surprise any of you what our priority was at the time. I serve on the UC Board of Regents. You know where I'm going with this. In that period of time between 1977 and 2007, how many institutions of higher learning did the UC system invest in? One. But during those 30 years, we invested in 22 new institutions of incarceration, 22 new prisons. We watched the budget of our prison system finally eclipse the budget and investment and our commitment to our children and folks that are looking for life learning, institutions of higher education. We saw the budget peak to a point where it was larger than the budget of 12 states in this country. We watched during that period of time a raging focus on mandatory minimums, mass everything, mass incarceration, and a mass approach to trying to basically lock ourselves away from this challenge of dealing with crime and violence and safety. And we saw self-evidently that our efforts had limitations. And here we are today, after a remarkable few years, where things are beginning to turn, things are beginning to move in a new direction. We have folks stepping up and stepping in, not just like Lenore, but like yourselves, coming together and saying, you know what, hold on, it's time, as they say in psychology, for a pattern interrupt. We can't continue to do what we've done. All we'll get is what we got, and we can't afford that. We've got to move in a new direction. So I just want to thank you for being part of this new movement. I want to thank you for being part of an effort to put a human face on victims, to put a human face on survivors, and to put a human face on our struggles to make softer this remarkable place we call home, California. And I want to just say two quick things. I had an opportunity to meet this guy, Ken Robinson. He's now a friend of mine. He's a remarkable guy, if you ever heard of him. And he described something that happened 10 years ago, almost to the day. In 2004, something happened that predated this extraordinary moment in 2005, and that was 7 inches of rain fell overnight in Death Valley, which was a remarkable thing, one of the hottest and driest places on planet Earth. But in the spring of 2005, Ken told me, he said something truly remarkable. In April of 2005, almost 10 years ago this week, something truly extraordinary happened. He said, entire valley, Death Valley, was carpeted with wildflowers. Turned out, he said, Death Valley wasn't dead after all. It was dormant. The seeds of possibility had been planted years and years before, waiting for the right conditions to come along. He went on to describe, he said, when the right conditions come along, success becomes irresistible. Think about that in the context of your lives and the work we're trying to do together. It's all about creating the conditions where success becomes irresistible. It's about making that investment in our communities, making an investment into your recovery, making an investment into, again, softening those edges. It's about recognizing that success is synergistic with environment. And over my lifetime, everything I've described has happened on my watch. Society becomes how we behave. We are our behaviors. But the wonderful thing about that is if that's the case, we can change our behaviors. We could start investing in our communities. We could start investing in our pre-K programs and prenatal programs. We could start investing in making sure that we're there to support victims of crime and violence, to recognize that life doesn't just happen to you. Life can also happen for you. All of us have remarkable capacity to do great things, to learn from our experiences, to learn from our challenges and struggles, and to step up and do something remarkable with it. Success, as I was telling Lenore a moment ago, success leaves clues. So your success is demonstrated by your presence here today. Your expression, no one else has. Your story, completely unique. Learn from, but you don't have to follow others. And recognize at the end of the day, in closing, that Dr. King was right, that we are all bound together by a web of mutuality. We're all in this together, and we're all better off when we're better off. The Bible, you know this, teaches all of us, we're many parts, but one body. And when one part suffers, we all suffer. There's no divorce, folks, in this life. So I want all of us to, as Bill Clinton would say, share our interesting differences. But if there's anything that brings us here together, I hope it's the fact that we're here to also unite around those things that bind us together. Don't tolerate each other. Celebrate each other. So that's my message this morning. And now, the reason I was invited in the first place. I'm a politician. I saw a mic. Well, I hate those introductions that always say someone that doesn't need an introduction, and then the person getting introduced says, well, then don't do one. That's what they're saying quietly under their breath. Save me, spare me. But I do want to say a few things. You know, there was a wonderful quote Oliver Wendell Holmes once gave. He said, life is action and passion. And it's required of all of us to share the action and passion of our time at peril of being judged not to have lived. What he was saying is each of us will be judged and ultimately, more importantly, judge ourselves to the extent we contribute to the life of our community, city, county, state, nation, and the world we're trying to build. Well, John Legend is not in peril of being judged not to have lived. Here's someone who's lived his action and passion, who stepped up and used his talent and as an offshot, his celebrity, to make the world a better place. I cannot count on all the causes he's been associated with, but one thing I know is he's not interested in life. Interested people find excuses. He's committed to this life. Committed people find ways of getting things done. John Legend gets it, and he gets it done. He's passionate about criminal justice reform. He's passionate about human spirit. He's passionate about social justice and social change. Oh, and yes, he's got 9 Grammys. I have none. He has 1 Golden Globe. That ain't going to happen. And there's that little fancy statue. Why not? The trifecta, little Academy Award. Ladies and gentlemen, John Legend.